the Armory 3D Community Game Jam is over. It's been over for like 2 days now. And I want to spend this video and go through what we have actually had in these entries. Now this is mainly for people who are looking for games that were made with Armory 3D because they don't know exactly what it's capable of and want to see how people are making games and how good they are to show the level of usability of Armory 3D. Now we are going to talk about, well, the submission. So if I go over here to the page and look at the results of who won, we can see the first game, the most liked, was the Grand Cattle Heist. Now this game is really awesome. Like many will agree, this is probably one of the best games made with Armory 3D yet. Now this game, you can go check it out. I'll link this page in the description so you can have all the games here, and I'm going to talk about the technical aspects of these games as we go through them. Now obviously these games have an enormous amount of creativity, and the developers are awesome and have a lot of good ideas, but I want to talk a bit about Armory's capabilities while guessing how they develop these games. Now I'm going to try out this game right now, and let's see what it looks like. Okay, so here we are. The game is starting up, and as you can see, it has a beautiful UI. The UI here was created not using Armory 3D's Armory 2D editor, but it uses something. It uses this instead, which is implemented. It doesn't come with Armory. You have to download it separately and implement it. I'm gonna check into that thanks to the developer, and I'm gonna check into that and hopefully start using it because it looks really awesome. Now, as you can see, this game is well, it's very fun, but it's a little hard to control it, I think. And basically you play an alien, control an alien spaceship, and you have to go around stealing cows. Now, points for originality, this is awesome. As you can see, if we talk about like the aspect, we have a light from the UFO, which is pretty awesome, like a spotlight. And we have like a water effects going on here. We have like animations on the grass and like trees, and the trees look really awesome, low poly. And we have some nice like fluorescent refractions when the light hits over it. And we have animated cows that play different animations. But the main thing I want to talk about here is the beam. When you click on the beam, we have a nice like feather and like a spotlight, a blue spotlight. And these animations for these cows are hilarious, I must say. And we have a timer up here, which is pretty awesome. And it tells us, well, let me go back into that. We have a timer up here, and when it hits 1, the sun's going to start rising. That is pretty awesome. I don't know exactly how he did that, but the lighting is really amazing. That is one of the things that stood out. Oh, I got my light on. Get spotted with the level overlook. Now I really want to talk about these trees for a second. These trees look really awesome. Now the reason they look so good is because the faces, like they have refractions of light, and that looks really nice. And these trees, they remind me of the Crossy Road sort of low poly style trees. And I love how he changed like the colors of the leaves, so it's not just one big block like you can see over there. He added variations to it. Now, as you can see, we have a bunch of nice things going on here, especially these cars and the animated lights on the spaceship. I don't exactly know how he did this, but it's really cool. I guess it's just an animation. And the only thing I would like to see is some marks on the roads here to give it more definition, a bit more contrast with some white lines to separate the different sides of the roads. But I mean, look, he even put like paths for the things, which is immense attention to detail, and it's really awesome. And we have a counter up here, and one thing that is really interesting is this checkbox down here, show observer range. Now you can see if you get too close to the houses and you turn on your beam, the alert range is going to go up. But if you go around out of that range, the alert doesn't go because you're out of this like range. And the cars obviously have a different range, which is red because it's much more sensitive. And if the cars see you, it's a lot less longer before they catch you. And here, as you can see, the sun's rising and the light is really awesome. So that's it for this game. As you can see, we have animated water around here that also look really great. I did do a tutorial on how to make animated water, so you can go check that out from the pop-up on screen. Now I spent a little time on the catalyzer because it's really interesting and a great concept. Now this is Tic-Tac-Toe, which won second place, which was sort of surprising. But it was still very pleasant to play. Honestly, if you ask me to play a Tic-Tac-Toe, I'll choose this one. Because the 3D version is really nice to look at. So let's just jump right into that. And as you can see, we have a pretty minimal, a simple sort of menu here with 2 buttons of play and equip. So, you know, it's not too overworked. So it's a very simple concept, but it's impossible to win, honestly. And as you can see, when we just like play around here, we have some nice, like, that's what I was talking about with the Grand Cattle Heist. We have some nice refractions of the light here, and we have some soft shadows because it's slightly elevated. And honestly, it's just nice to play. It just feels right. It just feels, yeah, right. It feels nice to play. And it was a simple concept, but it works really well. I mean, Tic-Tac-Toe, it's one of the simplest games, but the funnest. Yeah, I'm really bad at this. Now this is a game that I liked a lot. This is a Space Roads game by Quantum Coder, and he obviously took advantage of the Endless Runner file that I asked him for, and he's developed it into this incredible game. Next up we got Sight. Now this game came in 4th place, which I was kind of surprised. I thought it would get a bit higher, but it is an alpha version game. The game is very minimalistic, but I think it has the capability of going a long way. I have very high expectations for this, and this game was like a horror game made by Armory Blender, who does YouTube videos for Armory 3D. So that's cool. And his game concept was you have to survive in this like mansion. So it's similar to mine, except he did it first. And he did it much better. Now, as you can see, I'm in the game right now. We have like a bunch of motion blur going on here. And when we see a box, we press E to grab it. Now, this game is pretty cool because we have, yeah, that. Yeah, obviously it's an alpha version, so it has a few issues, like these buttons, obviously they're temporary probably. And other than that, I really like this game because it's interesting. It has a good concept. It's like a good old horror game, and the guy's really scary as well. Let me go find him. Oh god! I think the one thing that could be done was to make the camera a little bigger. I mean the camera focal length bigger, so you can see more. Because every time we collide with him, we don't really see him much. So either that or play an animation when the player is about to attack. We play an animation and the camera switches out to a different position. Ah, there he is. And it's pretty cool because the grain appears with the proximity of the actual guy. So if you get close to him, you get a warning because your screen starts graining up and going add in some chromatic aberration. So that's cool. There he is. So you get chromatic aberration when he comes close, and it gets all grainy, and then boom, these buttons appear when you die and you can't move anymore. So yeah, awesome game. Now we also have this mobile game that was submitted, even though we did say to upload an exe file, but it doesn't really matter because we're showcasing, you know, it's what it was for. The game jam it was made for, like showcasing the possibilities, and obviously our APK files are a possibility. So we have a game here. It's an APK file, like I said, so I'm not going to show you it because I'm on PC. But you can go check it out if you have a mobile phone. It's well, it's really fun. And it's got a good concept of like a car rolling around with like bags and stuff. How far it can get. It's a good car. It's a good car. It's a good game. I liked it a lot. It has a lot of It can become quite good. So yeah, you can definitely go check that out. And I believe it only got last place. It only didn't get last place because of the APK file. Because my game is terrible, honestly terrible. It took me a little over 2 hours, submission included, to make this game. The concept is pretty much, I made a scene, I shoved the FPS player in it, and that's it. I made 3 pages, 3 scenes I mean. So I can show you if you want. Okay, so the concept is you must find food to survive, which, you know, is obvious because that's what you need to do. And in this game I had so many problems that I turned it into a feature. I didn't have time to add sound, so I said, well, the player's deaf. It was all jittery, so I said the player's scared. And he can be wounded as well, which causes him to like lose sight. And he's a little boy who has brain disorder, causing him to see bright lights and distorted image. That's just because the game was so crap and the lighting was terrible, and I didn't have time to fix it. That I just made the story around that. And so this is the kid who has brain damage, so he can't see properly, and it's just really bad. So I made excuses. As you can see, we got like flashing lights that appear in the sky and things like that. And basically the game is just a big hide and seek with problems. This is the bloom effect, which is causing these like blooping white lights, so I made it a thing. And this is a white cube that I forgot to delete because I'm dumb. And you can't get past here because there's an invisible barrier sometimes, but sometimes you can, and I don't know what's going on. It's a collision box problem. And here we have the volumetric lighting, which looks absolutely disgusting. And you can actually jump around and go inside the building. Now I added some furniture, but it's terrible and has no collisions. You see what I mean by 2 hours. It's honestly the worst game I've ever made. And we can jump up these stairs here, and we have these bottles with a table, and the bottles float sometimes. Let me see. You can't see anything because, yeah. And look at that, it's terrible. And now the game is crashing, and everything's buggering up, and everybody's dying, and yeah, it's not fun. It's honestly a terrible game. And once you finally find the food, well, it just takes you to a page and it says a bunch of stuff, and you can restart the game. It's basically a big hide and seek. And when you restart the game, the food is in the same place because they didn't have time to add a random position to the final thing. It's also quite a big game. It's 32 megabytes, whereas all the other submissions were about 10 approximately. And this one requires quite a lot of hardware because I did 0 optimizations. So I learned a lot by this. I'm not just saying it's crap because I can. It honestly is really bad. Yeah, I can show you the code. Okay, so we're in the file right now. As you can see, we have our player here, which is just a cylinder, and we have the scene, and this is the code, the visual script in it anyway. We have like the controls that makes the player move. For both keyboards, QWERTY and AZERTY, so I can use it on a French keyboard as well as using on an English keyboard. And this is the player dying when you press escape. Well, not dying, I mean the game shuts down when you press escape. And the most complicated thing I did was maybe the death trigger. It's a timer that sets the scene to a different scene after this time. That's honestly the most complicated thing, other than maybe like the volume trigger. When you win it, when you collide with the food, it sets it to a different scene. That's honestly the biggest thing I did in the visual script, and the rest was just like the modeling and like messing around with the filters and things like that. But yeah, so as you can see, it was really sloppy, and it's like the worst thing you could possibly call a game. And yeah, that's it. There's no other code other than exiting and restarting the scene or things like that. I wanted to show you these few games I found as well from Armory 3D. Now these aren't from the Game Jam, and these are actually online on the internet. So here we have a game which reminded me a little of my game. where you can move around and you can go through walls and things like that. And when you jump up, you can jump up to get up the platforms. How? There we go. God, this game is physics. Physics, gravity, help. Jump. Okay, I'm getting the hang of it. Yeah, basically this game allows you to play the game. This game is pretty great. It's a game about a platformer with a cube, and it looks pretty awesome, and I can't even get past the introduction level. Yeah, this game was made, the source code was made available by the developer, so you can actually go download it. Let me show you. Here we go, on his itch.io page we have here the block SK8, I believe he called it, and you can go check out his website, and he left a link for embedding if you want to embed this game on your own website, and you can now also download the source code here. Yeah, that's running the game. This is the source code. So you can actually go download this source code and you can mess around with it. The only thing is, it's a little out of date. So it was made 2 years ago with Blender 2.79, I believe, and so it requires some updating to be able to be run on the latest version of Blender. But if you don't want to do that, then he did make another game. This one's a little different. It's a sort of first-person shooter style, like I don't know what you would call this game. Interesting. A sort of platformer style shooter, and when you click on the screen you don't actually shoot out of these guns, which was a little deceiving. You actually it gets the location of your mouse and it shoots the bullet there, so I don't know why he modeled two guns. But this was a very interesting look at, especially for like well, more the logic aspect, or if you don't know how to make these sort of light effects or things like this, then you can definitely go look into the source code, and this time it is up to date with the latest version of Blender and Armory, so you'll be able to modify it without needing to change anything. So you can just go and see how he made this by going to the GitLab link in the website, and you can open up and download the source code and open it up in your here in the download button, and open download the zip and open it up in a different scene in Armory. As you can see, if we just open up the file and drag and drop the blend file in here, and we just open that up, and we have right here the scene. Let me open up a new layout. And as you can see, this is the scene that we got our player, and you can see exactly how things are working. So if we open this up and look at the logic nodes, boom, you can see we have a bunch of logic nodes, and he's actually organized the logic nodes like I did in my tutorial series with the level 1 thingy, even though he only has one level. So I'm assuming he was going to make multiple levels. And yeah, we can have a look at, see how things are laid out, and like I said, some of these things are deprecated, and you can see that by this little warning sign. So there are a few things that need fixing by just replacing like the events by the latest version. For example, this is a mouse, so a mouse here, so it says started, just set it to started left, so we can just plug that in. It's also plugged in over there. And boom, we have replaced that thing, and just like do that for all the rest of the nodes. There aren't too many, I don't think. And then you'll be able to like run it normally and edit it yourself and see how things work and things like that. So yeah, that's a great file that I'll be linking to you in the description. Now, I'd love to make another video about this, like showcasing other releases and creations that people have made, and but the thing is, I don't know of that many games because developers aren't always open to telling people what game engine they use. But I really want to know if somebody has a game that they're working on or something like that, if you can link it to me, and I'd love to check it out. And then I make another video explaining, or well, not explaining, but showcasing and telling people about these projects that they can go check out to see what people have been making with Armory 3D, because it's really interesting and it's really fun to see other members of the community, to inspire other people and to get inspired ourselves. So yes, if you have a game, then definitely comment down below, because I'd love to hear about it. Don't be shy, I read every comment. So yeah. So thank you very much for all the participants. We had 6 submissions in the game jam, as you already probably know, and I hopefully want to make another game jam soon enough, and hopefully get a few more members, a few more developers to come work on this game jam, which is why I'm showcasing and releasing this video, to encourage more people that the game jam doesn't need to be perfect, but it helps you learn. For example, me, I learned that I need to look into logic nodes a bit more, and make a bit more logic in my games, and also start with them a little sooner. Because unlike most of the developers here, I'm not that smart, and I haven't been around Armory for a long time, but I do want to see it advance, I do want to see it develop, I do want to see it grow bigger. So thank you very much for watching this video. Like I said, if you want to check out any of these games from the game jam, it's linked in the page below. And if you want to check out the 2 previous games that I already showed you and go download that source file, then you can also find that linked in the description. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to make more like it. Have a good day.